llaman el desaparecido.
All right, guys, here we are. B2, last day before Thanksgiving break. And of course, I'm going to give you a little task to do over Thanksgiving break, and I'm sure you know what that is, because that expectation of telling one of these stories to a family member is on the board. Let's do now. Here's the do now. On the top of the screen, you will notice a first-person shooter game. That is a screenshot from a first-person shooter game. Very popular in the world today. On the bottom, you can see the hotel room of I believe this was in October of 2017, when a man with all of these assault rifles in Las Vegas actually just busted out the window of his hotel room and started firing into a crowd of people at a country music festival in Las Vegas. Right? Mass shootings is really what we're talking about here. Mass shootings and violence, gun violence is kind of what I'm kind of going with on this do now. Let's go back to what we know, right? Which of the 6 approaches explains this behavior, right? You know, are you conditioned from watching those first-person shooting games to shoot people? I don't know. Maybe humanism, self-actualization, getting to the high level for this guy was I don't know. I think he eventually committed suicide in that hotel room. Biological, maybe he was just messed up in the brain. Psychoanalysis, maybe there was some, I don't know, man. There's probably something going on there when he was a child to be doing something like that. Cognitive, sociocultural, maybe that is sociocultural. Maybe he was raised in a family that really liked guns, that was used to shooting guns. Maybe he played a lot of video games. I don't know. Why don't we push pause and have a discussion amongst the class? Because we have a good class here in B2. Let's see what we got. All right. Let's just kind of talk about, I'm not there, and I just want to kind of talk. Daniel Pink is a psychologist who talks a lot about motivation. I just want to kind of, as you're going into what we're doing today and what we're about to do with, telling the story to a family member, let's just keep this in mind, because this is how Daniel Pink, who is a psychologist and talks about motivation, thinks that it needs to be done. Autonomy is the need to direct your own life and work. Guys, in this time of pandemic, we're going to need autonomy out of you. This is how you're going to have to motivate yourself, right? You're going to have to direct your own life and work. Mastery is the desire to improve. You really want to improve, and you want to be a master of these things we're talking about in psychology, right? And then purpose. Those who believe they're working towards something larger and more important themselves are often most hardworking, productive, and engaged, right? So let's have these 3 things as we're going through today. I just wanted to throw that in there because I'm not there for the second time this week. So just wanted to make sure that you don't need me, guys, because you guys are the ones presenting. You guys are the ones showing me it. My job is just to assess, to make sure that you're doing the skills and wanting to improve, right? That's what it's all about for me. And I have that because I know about the Pygmalion effect. And the truth is, this B2 class, I believe it. I'm looking at the list right here. I believe in almost every one of you. Well, yeah, all of you. So our objective today, students will take notes on classmates' presentations, right? And prepare for recording with a family member over break, right? So we have 2 that we haven't gone today. I may be wrong because I wasn't there on Monday. But cognitive dissonance, Lake and Patrick will. That can be a little tricky. That can be a little interesting. So that's one we definitely want to pay attention to. And guys, just that term, dissonance, is just a great one to know. That is just a high level term to know, cognitive dissonance. It can actually really help you in life. And then, of course, the Bobo Doll, cognitive learning, right? Issa, Diana, Anna, Brizabel. Cognitive learning. And I think that goes back to the do now. It's like, does what we see on TV or we see our parents do, can that change your behavior, right? Does anyone else need to go? I mean, did I miss something? I mean, we've got them all done. Stanford Prison. That's Kaylin, Richard with Milgram, Gracie, Conformity, Class Divided Goose. I saw that one. Robbers Cave. Sarah saw that one. Breezabel and Lakin, I think, are the only 2 we have left. So if anybody needs to go, that needs to be done today as well. Please record the Google Meet for these presentations so I can see them. And for these students who are not in person, please record it on the Google Meet Classroom during the class so I can watch the presentations. Okay? All right. So once you get that finished, right? Once we've gone through all of our presentations, we've taken notes. We know the 7 experiments, right? We need to know all 7 of them, really. It's about telling the story to a family member, right? Okay. This is where you make the grade, right? It's you take your phone, you take your computer, you put it in front of a family member, you push record, and you tell them the story of one of these. That's it. Couldn't be easier. And guys, you know, it would be nice to hear a conversation between you and the family member about what's going on. That can happen. But in reality, it's about listening to you talk about the story, showing that you understand the psychological concepts and applying it to today, right? This is what literacy of psychology is all about. And these are the famous experiments that you need to be able to do. Here's the 7 experiments, just in case you need a refresher course, right? Stanford Prison, right? That was Kaylin and Jessica, Jeanette and Lolly, right? Stanford Prison. That has to do with roles, right? People take on these roles of authority and can be abusive very quickly, right? Very quickly. Milgram experiment. That was Richard, right? That's about obedience to authority. So Stanford Prison and Milgram are very connected. In fact, Mr. Zimbardo and Mr. Milgram were actually in high school together. Conformity, that was about how people conform to the group because they don't want to be an outlier, right? And that for a high schooler, that's a really important one to know. Class divided, that was Goose. What's up, Goose? Class divided, that was the red eyes, nobody has red eyes. Blue eyes and brown eyes, right? This idea of how discrimination, prejudice, racism, socially constructed, right? Robert's Cave, group conflict theory, right? That's about group conflict. Group conflict theory. That's about just you have kids that are the same age, same everything, and they split them apart, but then they really kind of identify with their group and become conflict when they're fighting over resources. Bobo doll, cognitive learning, right? How do you explain domestic violence, right? You explain domestic violence, probably the Bobo doll is probably your best bet on that. And then cognitive dissonance, you know, is why do people smoke cigarettes? You know, why do people don't like country music? You know, because country music's awesome, right? It's because they are having cognitive dissonance. But you guys are going to learn about that today. So, what happens if you can't find a family member to tell the story to? Well, I think that we have an example from my history class when I was trying to do the Spanish-American War, which they're doing over Thanksgiving break. I think I have a good example of how you could possibly make this happen.
Morning, Trev. Morning. How are you today? Hey, listen, I got this assignment to do for school. I've got to tell the story of the Spanish-American War.
Is that the one with Saddam Hussein?
Saddam Hussein? No, this is the one with Teddy Roosevelt.